Long ago, in a kingdom surrounded by mountains and mystery, there lived a princess who did not know that the man protecting her life had been sent to end it. This is a story of fire, secrets, and a love that changed everything. Listen closely, for not everything is as it seems. If you're watching this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching my folktale story from. I want to know how far it has traveled. The village burned bright against the black night. Flames ate the wooden houses like hungry monsters. People screamed and ran in every direction. A masked warrior moved through the smoke, searching. He found a woman lying on the ground, her clothes torn and bloody. She held a baby boy close to her chest. In her other hand, she clutched a small golden emblem shaped like a lion. The warrior knelt beside her. "Please," the woman whispered. "Save my son." The warrior took the baby. The woman's eyes closed forever. As he turned to leave, the warrior saw something strange. The royal army's flag waved in the distance. They had set the fire. He looked at the golden emblem in the dead woman's hand. It belonged to the king's soldiers. They had stolen it during the attack. The warrior picked up the emblem and hid it in his coat. The baby opened his eyes. On the child's left shoulder was a red birthmark shaped like a crescent moon. People said only cursed bloodlines carried that mark. The warrior wrapped the baby tightly and disappeared into the forest. Behind him, the village turned to ash. Years passed like seasons changing. The warrior raised the boy in a hidden cave deep in the mountains. Every morning, the boy trained with wooden swords. Every night, the warrior told him the same story. "Your mother died because the royal family wanted power," the warrior said. "They burned your village. They killed innocent people. And they will never pay for their crimes unless someone makes them." The boy listened with fire in his young eyes. "What can I do?" he asked. "I am nobody." The warrior placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "One day, you will enter the palace. You will become trusted. And when the time is right, you will tear it down from the inside." The boy nodded. He understood. Revenge was his purpose. Justice was his mission. The warrior gave him a new name that night. "Your birth name is gone," he said. "From now on, you are Kale. Remember it well." Kale repeated his new name until it felt real. He trained harder after that. He learned to fight without mercy. He learned to hide his feelings behind a calm face. The warrior watched him grow strong and silent. Soon, the warrior whispered to himself. "Soon, the palace will know our pain." Kale arrived at the royal capital on a cold morning. Hundreds of young men stood in lines, hoping to join the king's guard. The trials were brutal. Fighters wrestled, climbed walls, and fought with practiced swords. Many failed and went home ashamed. Kale moved through the trials like water through rocks. Smooth. Unstoppable. Quiet. The commander noticed him immediately. "You fight well," the commander said. "What is your name?" "Kale, sir," he answered. "I come from the eastern villages." The commander studied Kale's face. "You have the eyes of someone who has seen war." Kale said nothing. He simply bowed. Days later, news spread through the barracks. The princess had been poisoned at a royal dinner. She survived, but barely. The king was furious. He ordered a complete change of the princess's guards. She needed someone loyal, strong, and silent. Someone who could protect her without question. The commander called Kale to his office. "The princess needs a personal bodyguard," he said. "I am recommending you." Kale's heart beat faster, but his face stayed calm. "I am honored, sir," he said. Inside, he smiled. The plan was working. He was going to stand beside the one person he had been sent to destroy. The palace gates opened for him. His mission had truly begun. Princess Alina was not what Kale expected. She was quiet, thoughtful, and always watching. Her eyes were deep brown, like rich soil after rain. She did not laugh much. She did not trust easily. Around her neck, she wore a pendant shaped like a sapphire eye. It glowed faintly in certain light. She never took it off, not even to sleep. Kale stood outside her chambers every day. He followed her through gardens, throne rooms, and temple visits. She barely spoke to him at first. When she did, her words were careful. "Do you believe in curses?" she asked him one afternoon. Kale was caught off guard. "I believe in actions, Your Highness," he answered. "Curses are just stories." She looked at him strangely. "Stories have power," she said softly. "Sometimes more than swords." That night, a raven landed on Kale's window. It carried a message from the warrior who raised him. The message was short and clear. The eye pendant must be taken during the royal moon dance. That is your moment. Do not fail. Kale burned the message and watched the ashes fall. He looked toward the princess's chambers. She stood at her window, staring at the moon. For a moment, Kale felt something strange in his chest. Something he did not want to feel. He pushed it away and returned to sharpening his blade. 3 weeks later, danger came. Princess Alina was walking through the royal market with Kale at her side. Suddenly, a man with a hooded cloak lunged from the crowd. A dagger flashed in his hand. Kale moved without thinking. He grabbed the man's wrist, twisted it, and threw him to the ground. The dagger clattered across the stones. Guards rushed forward and seized the attacker. The crowd gasped and stepped back. Princess Alina stood frozen, breathing hard. Kale turned to her. "Are you hurt, Your Highness?" he asked. She shook her head. Her hands were trembling. "You saved my life," she whispered. Kale bowed. "It is my duty." But the truth was darker. Kale knew the attacker. He was one of the rebels, one of the warrior's men. The attack had been staged. It was meant to win the princess's trust. And it had worked. That evening, Princess Alina called Kale to her private chambers. She poured him tea with her own hands, something royals never did. "I do not trust many people," she said quietly. "But today, you proved yourself." She reached out and touched his hand. Just for a moment. "Thank you, Kale." Her touch was warm. Her voice was sincere. And something inside Kale cracked. He felt guilt creep into his heart like poison. He was supposed to hate her. But now, he was starting to see her as human. Days turned into weeks. Princess Alina began to trust Kale more and more. One afternoon, she invited him to walk with her in the royal garden. The garden was filled with roses, jasmine, and tall trees that gave shade from the hot sun. Birds sang in the branches. "Do you know the history of this kingdom?" she asked him. Kale walked beside her carefully. "Only what everyone knows, Your Highness," he said. "Glory. Victory. Honor." She stopped walking and looked at him. "That is what they teach," she said. "But I do not believe it anymore." Kale's heart began to beat faster. "What do you mean?" he asked. Princess Alina touched a rose petal gently. "My father tells stories of brave wars. But I found old letters in the library. Letters that speak of burning villages. Of families destroyed. Of lies told to cover up crimes." Kale felt his blood go cold. She knew something. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked quietly. She turned to face him. Her eyes were sad but strong. "Because I need someone I can trust," she said. "Someone who will tell me the truth." Then she asked the question that shook him. Do you believe some revenge is justified, Kale? He opened his mouth to answer. But no words came out. How could he answer without revealing everything? She waited. The silence grew heavy between them. Finally, he spoke. I believe justice matters more than revenge, Your Highness. She nodded slowly. But her eyes told him she knew he was hiding something. That night, Kale could not sleep. The princess's words haunted him. He needed guidance. He needed to know if he was still on the right path. So he left the palace in secret and traveled to the forest where the old seer lived. The seer was a blind woman named Mira. She had helped raise him alongside the warrior. She lived in a small hut surrounded by herbs, bones, and candles. When Kale entered, she already knew he was there. You have come because your heart is confused, Mira said without turning around. Yes, Kale admitted. I am close to completing my mission. But something has changed. Mira stirred a pot of bitter tea. You have grown too close to her, she said. You were meant to hate her. Instead, you are beginning to care. Kale clenched his fists. I have not forgotten my purpose. Mira turned to face him, her empty eyes somehow seeing everything. If you fall for her, the truth will eat you alive. She reached out and touched his forehead. Suddenly, Kale saw a vision. Flames surrounded the palace. People screamed. And in the center of the fire stood Princess Alina, reaching out for help. But Kale was not there to save her. The vision ended. Kale gasped for air. What was that? He asked. A warning, Mira said. The path you walk leads to destruction. Choose carefully, Kale. Because soon, you will have to choose between revenge and her life. The royal moon dance arrived 2 weeks later. It was the biggest celebration of the year. Lanterns hung from every tree. Musicians played drums and flutes. People danced under the silver light of the full moon. Princess Alina wore a flowing blue dress that sparkled like the night sky. Her sapphire eye pendant glowed against her chest. She looked beautiful. Kale stood at the edge of the crowd, watching. His mission was clear. Tonight, he had to steal the pendant. The warrior's message had been specific. The pendant held power. Without it, the royal family would fall. A servant approached Kale. The princess requests your presence, she said. Kale's stomach tightened. He followed the servant to where Princess Alina stood. Will you dance with me? She asked. Kale hesitated. I am a guard, Your Highness. Not a dancer. She smiled softly. Tonight, you are my guest. She took his hand and led him to the center of the garden. They danced slowly under the lanterns. The music was soft and sad. Kale could feel the pendant against his chest as they moved closer. This was his moment. He had to take it. But as he looked into her eyes, he saw trust. He saw hope. He saw someone who believed he was good. His hand moved toward the pendant. She rested her head on his shoulder. Thank you for being here, she whispered. Kale closed his eyes. And in one smooth motion, he unclasped the pendant and slipped it into his coat. The dance ended. She smiled at him. And he walked away, carrying her trust and her curse. Princess Alina woke the next morning and reached for her pendant. It was gone. Panic filled her chest. She searched her bed, her floor, her entire room. Nothing. No, 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 she whispered. Her hands shook. She called for her attendants. Find it, she ordered. Search everywhere. But the pendant was nowhere in the palace. That afternoon, strange things began to happen. The ground trembled beneath the castle. Cracks appeared in the stone walls. The royal seal, carved into the throne room floor, began to glow red. People whispered in fear. The curse is waking, they said. The spirits are angry. The king called an emergency council. His advisors argued and panicked. The pendant was a seal, one old advisor said. It held back an ancient curse placed on the royal bloodline. Without it, the curse will consume the kingdom. Princess Alina stood in the corner, pale and silent. She knew the pendant was not lost. It was stolen. And she had a terrible feeling about who might have taken it. A guard burst into the throne room. "Your Majesty," he shouted. "The mountain is shaking. The old temple is glowing. The spirits are awakening." The king's face went white. He looked at his daughter. "What have we done?" he whispered. Princess Alina did not answer. She walked out of the throne room and went straight to find Kale. She needed to know the truth. Even if it broke her heart. Kale met with the rebel leader in a hidden room beneath the city. The rebel leader was a tall man with a scarred face and cold eyes. His name was Varen. He had been the one who ordered Kale's mission. Kale handed him the sapphire pendant. Varen held it up to the light and smiled. "You have done well," Varen said. "The royal family will finally pay for their crimes." But Kale did not feel victorious. He felt sick. "What happens now?" Kale asked. Varen placed the pendant in a wooden box. "Now, the curse will destroy them from within. The spirits will take their revenge. The kingdom will fall." Kale's hands curled into fists. "And the innocent people? What about them?" Varen shrugged. "War always has victims." Kale felt anger rise in his chest. "You said this was about justice. Not murder." Varen's eyes turned sharp. "Do not lose your nerve now, boy. Remember what they did to your village. Remember your mother." Kale turned to leave. But before he did, he saw something on Varen's desk. A stack of old papers. Reports. Letters. One letter caught his eye. It was written in the old king's handwriting. It said the fire in Kale's village was not ordered by the royal army. It was started by rebel forces to provoke war. Kale's blood turned cold. "Where did you get this?" he demanded. Varen snatched the papers away. "It does not matter." But it did matter. Everything mattered. Kale's entire life had been built on a lie. And now, he did not know who the real enemy was. Princess Alina could not sleep. Her mind raced with questions and fear. She went to her mother's old chambers, a place she had not visited in years. Her mother had died when Alina was only 12. The room was covered in dust and memories. Alina searched through old trunks and drawers. She did not know what she was looking for, but she felt pulled to find something. Then, hidden behind a loose stone in the wall, she found a wooden box. Inside was a letter written in her mother's handwriting. Alina's hands trembled as she read. "My dearest daughter, if you are reading this, then the pendant is gone. I pray you never have to face what I am about to tell you." The pendant was not just a family treasure. It was a seal created by the forest spirits to contain a curse. A curse born from blood we spilled long ago. Your grandfather ordered the burning of a village to claim land for the kingdom. Innocent families died. Children died. The spirits cursed our bloodline in return. We have carried this guilt in silence. But silence is its own kind of poison. There is more blood on our hands than you know. The fire was not an accident. It was murder. And we have been hiding from the truth ever since. Forgive me, my child. I should have been braver. Alina dropped the letter. Tears streamed down her face. Her family had lied. They were not heroes. They were killers. And now, the curse had come to collect its debt. Kale could not carry the weight anymore. Guilt crushed his chest like stones. He had stolen from someone who trusted him. He had believed lies his whole life. And now, innocent people would suffer because of him. He made a decision. That night, Kale went to Princess Alina's chambers. He knocked on the door. She opened it slowly, her eyes red from crying. "Kale," she said quietly. "I need to speak with you." "I need to speak with you first," he said. His voice was shaking. He entered the room and closed the door. Then, he pulled the sapphire pendant from inside his coat. Alina gasped. "You took it," she whispered. Her voice was filled with pain. "Yes," Kale said. He could not lie anymore. "I came to this palace to destroy you. I was raised to believe your family killed my village. I was sent here for revenge. I stole the pendant to break the seal and release the curse." Tears filled Alina's eyes. She stepped forward and slapped him hard across the face. The sound echoed in the room. "How could you?" she cried. "I trusted you." Kale did not defend himself. He deserved her anger. "I was wrong," he said. "I found evidence that my village was not burned by your family. I have been living a lie. And now, I do not know what is true anymore." Alina's hands shook. She wanted to call the guards. She wanted him arrested. But instead, she said something that surprised them both. "You may have betrayed me. But I need you now more than ever." Princess Alina explained everything. The letter from her mother. The curse. The blood debt her family owed. "If we do not restore balance, the curse will destroy the entire kingdom," she said. Kale listened, his heart heavy with shame. "What can we do?" he asked. Alina looked at the pendant in his hand. "There is a place called the Temple of Echoes. It is high in the mountains where the spirits dwell. If we return the pendant and ask for forgiveness, the spirits may restore the seal." Kale nodded. "Then we go together." They left the palace before sunrise. No guards. No servants. Just the two of them. They traveled on horseback through forests and rocky paths. The journey was long and silent. Neither of them knew what to say. After 2 days, they reached the temple. It was ancient and covered in vines. Stone statues of spirits stood at the entrance, their faces frozen in sorrow and anger. As they stepped inside, the air grew cold. Voices whispered around them, though no one was there. The pendant began to glow in Kale's hand. Suddenly, shadows took shape. They were the spirits of the dead. Men, women, and children who had died in the fire long ago. One spirit stepped forward. Its voice was like wine through broken glass. "You have come to undo what was done," it said. "But the debt is not so easily paid." Princess Alina bowed her head. "I am here to answer for my family's sins." The spirit's eyes glowed red. "Only one royal line will leave this mountain alive." Kale and Alina returned to the palace in the middle of the night. The curse had grown stronger. The sky was dark with storm clouds. Lightning cracked across the mountains. They had little time. But when they entered the throne room, they were not alone. A man in fine robes stood beside the king. He smiled warmly and bowed. "Your Highness," he said. "I am Ambassador Varen. I have come to discuss peace between our lands." Kale's blood went cold. It was the rebel leader. He was inside the palace, pretending to be a diplomat. Alina did not recognize him, but Kale did. "Princess," Varen said smoothly. "I bring gifts of goodwill." He approached her with open arms. But Kale saw the glint of a blade hidden in his sleeve. "No!" Kale shouted. He lunged forward and tackled Varen to the ground. The hidden blade clattered across the floor. Guards rushed in. Varen struggled, but Kale pinned him down. You lied to me. Kale shouted. You used me. Varen laughed bitterly. I made you strong, boy. I gave you purpose. You gave me lies. Kale roared. The king ordered the guards to seize Varen. As they dragged him away, Varen looked back at Kale. You want the truth, he hissed. I ordered the fire that killed your village. I needed a war. I needed soldiers filled with hate. You were just a tool, Kale. Nothing more. Kale fell to his knees. Everything he believed was poison. Everything he fought for was a lie. And the man who raised him was a monster. Before the guards could take Varen to the dungeon, the temple doors burst open. A woman entered. She was old but strong, dressed in robes covered with symbols and feathers. It was Mira, the forest witch. But she did not come alone. Behind her walked a group of villagers carrying torches. Stop! Mira commanded. Her voice echoed through the hall. Everyone froze. The king stood from his throne. Who are you to enter my court uninvited? He demanded. Mira walked forward slowly. Her blind eyes seemed to see everything. I am someone you cast out long ago, brother, she said. The room gasped. Princess Alina stepped forward. What do you mean? She asked. Mira turned toward her. I am your aunt, child. The king's younger sister. I was born with the gift of sight, the ability to speak with spirits. Your grandfather feared my power. He said I was cursed. So he banished me to the forest and told everyone I had died. The king's face went pale. Mira, he whispered. You were supposed to stay hidden. I stayed hidden while you built a kingdom on lies, Mira said. But no more. The curse your father unleashed is real. And it will not stop until the truth is spoken. She pointed at Varen. This man manipulated the boy to serve his greed. But your family's crime came first. She turned to the entire court. This kingdom's rot began long before any of you were born. And only truth can heal it now. Princess Alina looked at her father, at Kale, at Mira. Everything was unraveling. And the storm outside grew louder. The curse grew stronger with each passing hour. Dark storm clouds covered the sky. Rain poured down like tears from heaven. The rivers overflowed and flooded the lower villages. People fled to higher ground. Inside the palace, strange things happened. The stone statues in the garden began to weep water from their eyes. Cracks spread across the walls like spider webs. And the sapphire pendant burned hot in Princess Alina's hand. She tried to wear it again, hoping it would restore the seal. But the moment she put it on, pain shot through her body. She collapsed to the floor. Kale caught her before she hit the ground. Your Highness, he shouted. Her skin was pale. Her breathing was shallow. Mira rushed to her side and touched her forehead. The curse has entered her blood, Mira said quietly. It is punishing the royal line. The king knelt beside his daughter, tears in his eyes. Is there nothing we can do? He begged. Mira shook her head. The spirits demand justice. They will not stop until the debt is paid. Kale held Princess Alina's hand. It was cold and trembling. This is my fault, he whispered. I broke the seal. I started this. Alina opened her eyes weakly. No, she said. This started long before you. Long before me. Outside, thunder roared. The temple in the mountains glowed red. The spirits were coming. And time was running out. The king sat alone in his chambers. His hands shook as he poured himself water. He could no longer run from the truth. Mira entered the room without knocking. You cannot hide anymore, brother, she said. The king looked at her with tired eyes. "I never ordered the fire," he said. "You must believe me." "But you covered it up," Mira replied. "You knew what father did. You knew innocent people died. And you said nothing." The king's face crumpled. "I was afraid. If the people knew the truth, they would have torn the kingdom apart. I thought silence would protect us." "Silence never protects anyone," Mira said. "It only deepens the wound." The king stood and walked to his window. He looked out at the storm destroying his kingdom. "What must I do?" he asked. Mira handed him a scroll. "Write the truth. Confess everything. Give your daughter the power to rebuild what you destroyed." The king took the scroll with shaking hands. He wrote for hours. He wrote about his father's greed. He wrote about the burning village. He wrote about the lies that built the kingdom. When he finished, he sealed the letter with the royal seal. He called for Princess Alina. When she arrived, weak but standing, he placed the scroll in her hands. "A kingdom built on silence cannot stand," he said. "You must be braver than I was." That night, the king closed his eyes and did not wake again. His heart had finally broken under the weight of truth. News of the king's death spread quickly. The kingdom was in chaos. Floods destroyed homes. Crops failed. People were afraid and angry. And then, the rebel army arrived. Varen had escaped during the confusion. He gathered his forces and marched on the palace gates. Hundreds of armed men surrounded the walls. Varen stood at the front, his voice booming. "The princess is unfit to rule," he shouted. "Her family has brought a curse upon us all. We demand new leadership." The people in the streets did not know who to trust. Some joined the rebels. Others stayed loyal to the princess. The kingdom was tearing itself apart. Inside the palace, Princess Alina stood in the throne room. She was pale and weak, but her eyes were determined. The royal advisors begged her to flee. "Your Highness, you must leave," one said. "The rebels will kill you." "No," Alina said firmly. "I will not run." Kale stepped forward. "Then I will fight for you." He turned to the remaining palace guards. "The princess has done nothing but seek the truth. She deserves our protection." One by one, the guards stood tall. They raised their swords in loyalty. "We stand with the princess," they said together. Kale looked at Alina. "We will hold the gates." She nodded. "Thank you, Kale." Outside, the rebels prepared to attack. Inside, the guards prepared to defend. War was coming. And only truth could stop it now. Princess Alina made a decision that shocked everyone. She walked to the front gates of the palace. "Open them," she commanded. The guards hesitated. "Your Highness, they will kill you," Kale said. "Then let them hear me first," she replied. The gates slowly opened. The rebel army stood ready to charge. But Princess Alina walked out alone, unarmed. The crowd fell silent. Varen stepped forward, a sword in his hand. "Have you come to surrender?" he asked with a smirk. "No," Alina said loudly. "I have come to tell the truth." She turned to face the crowd of people, rebels and citizens alike. "My family has lied to you for generations," she said. Her voice was strong despite her weak body. "My grandfather ordered the burning of a village to steal their land. Innocent people died. Children died. And my family covered it up." Gasps spread through the crowd. "The curse that destroys our kingdom now is the result of that sin," she continued. "I cannot undo what was done. But I will not continue the lies." She looked directly at Varen. "And this man, who claims to fight for justice, was the one who burned my bodyguard's village to start a war for his own power. Varen's face twisted with rage. She lies, he shouted. But the crowd had heard enough. One by one, people began to kneel. Not to the rebels, but to the princess. We have had enough of lies, an old woman said. Let the truth rule us now. The rebels lowered their weapons. Varen stood alone. Princess Alina walked to the ancient altar in the center of the city square. It was a stone table carved with the symbols of the spirits. The sapphire pendant hung heavy around her neck. The curse pulsed through her veins like fire. She could barely stand, but she would not stop now. Kale followed close behind her. What are you doing? He asked. Ending this, she said. She placed her hands on the pendant and looked up at the stormy sky. I offer my life to break this curse, she said aloud. Let my blood pay the debt my family owes. No! Kale shouted. But it was too late. Princess Alina raised the pendant high and brought it down hard against the stone altar. The sapphire shattered into 1,000 glowing pieces. Light exploded from the altar, bright and blinding. The ground shook. The storm roared. And Princess Alina collapsed. Her heart stopped beating. Kale caught her body and fell to his knees. No, 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 he cried. Please, not like this. The crowd stood frozen in shock. The curse's energy swirled around them like a tornado. And then, from the light, the spirits appeared. They were no longer angry. They were watching. Kale looked up at them, tears streaming down his face. Take me instead, he begged. She does not deserve this. I am the one who broke the seal. I am the one who failed. Please, take me instead. The spirits circled closer. Their whispers filled the air. And everything went silent. The spirits surrounded Kale and the lifeless body of Princess Alina. Their forms shimmered like smoke and starlight. One spirit stepped forward. It was a woman holding a child. She looked at Kale with ancient eyes. You were sent to destroy her, the spirit said. But you chose to save her soul instead. Kale's tears fell onto Alina's face. Please, he whispered. Bring her back. I will give anything. The spirits spoke among themselves in voices like wind through leaves. Finally, the woman spirit spoke again. The debt has been paid. The truth has been spoken. Balance can be restored. She reached out and touched Princess Alina's forehead. Light flowed from the spirit's hand into Alina's body. Color returned to her cheeks. Her chest rose with breath. Her eyes slowly opened. Alina, Kale whispered, his voice breaking. She looked at him, confused but alive. Kale? What happened? Before he could answer, the woman spirit turned to him. But all gifts carry a price, she said. You offered yourself in exchange. We accept part of that offer. Kale nodded. I understand. The spirit touched his throat. A burning pain spread through his neck. When it faded, Kale tried to speak. But no sound came out. His voice was gone. Forever. The spirits began to fade. Live well, children of sorrow, the woman spirit said. You have earned your peace. And then they were gone. The storm clouds broke apart. Sunlight poured down. The curse was lifted. But Kale would never speak again. The people gathered in the city square. Varen stood in chains before them. He had nowhere left to run. No more lies to tell. Princess Alina, now recovering, stood on the platform. Mira stood beside her. The crowd waited silently. This man manipulated hatred for his own power, Alina said. He burned villages. He turned people against each other. He used pain as a weapon. Varen glared at her but said nothing. By law, His crime is punishable by death, Alina continued. The crowd murmured in agreement. But Alina raised her hand. However, I will not add more death to this kingdom's history, she said. Instead, I sentence him to exile. He will be sent into the cursed lands beyond the mountains, where the spirits still wander. Varen's face went pale. That is worse than death, he whispered. Exactly, Alina said. You created silence and suffering for others. Now you will live in it yourself. Let the silence you created follow you forever. The guards led Varen away. He looked back one last time, his eyes filled with fear and regret. As he disappeared beyond the mountains, the people felt something lift from their hearts. Justice had been served. Not through revenge, but through truth. Kale stood beside Princess Alina, unable to speak but standing tall. She took his hand and squeezed it gently. No words were needed. He had saved her. And she would never forget it. The day of the coronation arrived. Princess Alina stood before the people, dressed in simple robes instead of royal gold. She did not want a crown built on lies. She wanted something new. The ceremony took place not in the throne room, but in the forest clearing where the spirits had first appeared. Mira led the ritual. She called upon the forest spirits, the ancestors, and the land itself. Do you accept this woman as your queen? Mira asked the air. The wind blew softly. The trees rustled. And then, something miraculous happened. Vines grew from the earth and wrapped gently around Alina's head, forming a crown of living green leaves and flowers. The people gasped in wonder. The forest has chosen, Mira said with a smile. Princess Alina, now Queen Alina, turned to face her people. I do not rule by blood or force, she said. I rule by truth. And I will need all of you to help me rebuild what was broken. The crowd cheered. It was not the loud, forced cheer of fear. It was genuine. Hopeful. Alive. Queen Alina looked at Kale, who stood beside her in his guard uniform. She placed her hand on his shoulder. This man is my shield, she said to the crowd. He is my witness. He has seen the worst of me and the worst of this kingdom. And he chose to stand for truth. Kale bowed his head. He could not speak, but his eyes said everything. He would protect her. Always. Queen Alina's first act as ruler was bold. She gathered all the old war records, the false histories, and the lists of so-called enemies. She carried them to the center of the city square. The people watched in silence. These records were written to justify lies, she said. They were used to create fear and hatred. But they have no place in our future. She placed the documents on a stone platform and set them on fire. The flames rose high into the sky. People watched as years of false history turned to ash. This kingdom begins clean, Queen Alina declared. We will write new stories. True stories. Stories of healing, not harm. The crowd erupted in applause. Hope filled the air. Over the following weeks, Queen Alina worked tirelessly. She returned stolen lands to families. She opened the royal treasury to rebuild damaged villages. She invited Mira to serve as her advisor, bringing wisdom from the forest into the palace. Kale remained by her side, silent but watchful. He communicated through gestures, through written notes, and through his actions. One evening, as the sun set over the kingdom, Queen Alina stood in the garden. Kale approached and handed her a letter. She read it carefully. It said, "My mission was to destroy you. But you taught me that some things are worth protecting. Thank you for giving me a reason to live beyond revenge." She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Thank you for choosing truth," she said softly. And they stood together, watching the kingdom heal. Years passed. The kingdom grew strong and peaceful. Queen Alina ruled with wisdom and kindness. The people loved her. The forest spirits blessed the land with good harvests. And the curse never returned. But one day, Kale made a decision. He wrote a letter to Queen Alina and left it on her desk. When she read it, her heart ached, but she understood. The letter said, "I have served you well, but my purpose is complete. I must go now. Not because I do not care, but because I have found peace. I will always watch over this kingdom. But from the shadows, where I belong." That night, Kale disappeared into the forest. Queen Alina did not send guards to find him. She knew he needed to walk his own path. Years later, children playing near the edge of the forest began telling stories. They spoke of a silent man dressed in dark clothes who appeared when danger was near. "He saved my brother from a wolf," one child said. "He stopped bandits from stealing our food," another said. The stories spread. People called him the Silent Guardian, the Watcher in the Woods. Queen Alina heard these stories and smiled. She knew it was Kale. He had come to the palace to destroy her. But he left guarding her legacy. And so the tale ends. Not with a perfect ending, but with a true one. Because sometimes, love is not about staying. Sometimes, love is about protecting from afar. And that is enough. The story you have just heard is a beautiful folktale I heard long ago. I am telling you to wake your minds to the truth that revenge built on lies only destroys the one who carries it. Love and truth are the only paths to real justice. If you were Kale, and you discovered everything you believed was a lie, what would you do? Would you have the courage to choose truth over revenge? I want to know your opinion, because every story is like a candle that can light the path for someone else. God bless you, and may courage guide your hands. Meanwhile, on the final screen, I am leaving you with one of the channel's most beloved folktales. I am sure you will love it. Thank you for staying with me until this moment.